Today we're going to be talking about the dun dun dun, the gay agenda. Okay, so I hear a ton of usually conservative old white men using the term gay agenda, and for the longest time I didn't have a clue what they were talking about. I mean, like, agenda. Well, I as a part of the LGBT community, I can tell you what my agenda today. Today I woke up at 9 and then I went for a 3-mile walk, and then I took a shower, and then I made a video, and then we're gonna have people over, and then we're probably gonna go to bed after drinking, and that's my agenda. If we're talking about long term, my agenda is go to New Mexico to visit relatives, and then go to New York City for my internship, come back to Kansas, go to Seattle, come back to Kansas, and then start my 3L year. That's my agenda. Oh my, it sounds really dangerous to your rights. However, when looking up on the internet what the gay agenda meant, well, you have the side that is more liberal and is like, the gay agenda is trying to secure same-sex marriage, anti-discrimination bills, education of sexual orientation in public schools, those sort of things. And those are all important. I mean, most people can agree that those sort of things are important. I mean, most sane, logical people that aren't bigots can say that yes, those things are things that don't hurt my rights as a human being. However, I wanted to know what some of the more conservative members of the community thought the gay agenda was when they used it in a disparaging way, basically insinuating that it was something horrible and sort of like the boogeyman. I mean, when people are like, the gay agenda is coming to get us, we're like, ooh, not the gay agenda. And so I went and I watched some political speakers speaking, and I should get an award for that. But then I went to this website called Conservapedia, which touts itself as the most trustworthy encyclopedia on the internet. And it basically says the homosexual agenda is, well, it doesn't call it the gay agenda, it calls it the homosexual agenda, first of all. So, I guess everybody else in part of the LGBT community are perfectly safe, but not the gay people. Conservapedia insists that the homosexual agenda is essentially trying to convert heterosexuals into the gay lifestyle. And I didn't exactly know what they meant by the gay lifestyle either. I mean, maybe we have more rainbows and glitter sitting around, but apparently they basically mean that we can't reproduce, and we are trying to steal heterosexual children. Since we can't make our own, we're trying to steal the poor heterosexual children and convert them into homosexual children and into sexual deviancy, because to the conservatives, apparently homosexuality means bestiality, pedophilia, and rape, incest, all these things that really don't apply to homosexuality or sexual orientation at all. If you believe that someone is gay and is just attracted to other men or other women, means that they are attracted to 5-year-old children, you are very wrong. You're just wrong. It has no correlation at all. Pedophiles can be heterosexual too. I mean, That's been known forever. I don't understand how that even correlates between the two ideas and gains traction, but apparently it does. So yeah, I've corrected you. You're no longer allowed to think that homosexuality equals sexual deviancy, illegal sexual deviancy, because I had corrected you. You're welcome. Conservapedia also states that homosexuals are trying to gain special treatment for themselves in terms of anti-discrimination ordinances and hate speech protection. They have also said that the homosexual agenda is the biggest threat to free speech in the entire country. And I'm sorry, you're also wrong. As a law student studying media law, the homosexual agenda, as you define it, is not even close to the biggest threat against free speech. That would actually be the government and basically chilling speech and corporations. Keep that in mind, conservatives that are supported by corporations. There's a reason why we're trying to get anti-SLAPP litigation. So no, the homosexual agenda is not even close to the biggest threat on free speech. Calm your tits. Thanks. Conservapedia also states that the homosexual agenda is trying to attack churches. I'm sorry. I believe churches threw the first stone there, and they also believe that the homosexual agenda is trying to distort scientific and biblical explanations. I'm kind of speechless for that, because a lot of things that happen in the Bible don't really have a scientific explanation. Science and the Bible don't always go together. I'm not saying they can't, because I'm the kind of person that believes in science and religion, and I believe that the Big Bang Theory could have happened. God just made it happen. But homosexuality isn't distorting anything, especially since homosexuality happens in hundreds of different species of mammals across the world. So it's not even unnatural, as you guys like to claim. So yeah, I don't really know where that argument came from either. The site also claims that the homosexual agenda is ignoring the clear message, and that is, in quotes, they use the word clear message, that homosexuality is a sin. See my previous video about how the Bible isn't actually that clear on homosexuality, if you want some clarification, but it's not. It's just not. They claim that the homosexual agenda it likes to discourage religious-based laws. And I would not just state that that is the homosexual agenda. That's just a logical agenda. Because first of all, the Establishment Clause makes it so that religious and state actions are supposed to be separate. We're not actually supposed to make religiously based laws. We're supposed to make moral laws, and religion can be a basis for those morals. But if a law directly came from a single religious belief, and we can prove that, the law is unconstitutional. That's just how it is. It wouldn't survive in court. So if we made a law saying that based on our religion, homosexuals can get married, that's unconstitutional, and that's why same-sex marriage should win in the Supreme Court this coming June, because every argument against it is religiously based. There's no really non-secular reason not to allow same-sex marriage. So think about that. One of the other reasons Conservapedia is really upset with the homosexual agenda is because it is advocating for the banning of conversion therapy. Conversion therapy has been proved to be extremely toxic to the minors that are forced to go through with it. Now, conversion therapy is allowed for most adults, because when you're an adult, you can make your own decisions. You can also choose your own religion. I think that's important. You're forcing your religious beliefs on your children, which you shouldn't do. It's not exactly a law in America, but the UN has basically said that is within their belief that adults should not force their religious beliefs on children. Also, in a Supreme Court case, it was decided that religion should never be harmful to a child, and that is why, even though it's against the religion to like get a blood transfusion, if it will save the life of the child is to get a blood transfusion, because they're a minor. They can't decide if their life is worth this religious belief, and you certainly can't decide that for them. So in terms of conversion therapy, which has been proven to royally fuck with people's minds and increase depression, increase chances of suicide, and just overall is a horrible institution, it should never be forced on minors. And that's not even a homosexual agenda. That's a mental health agenda. That's a we're trying to save children's lives agenda. So if a child still has a problem with being gay when they're 18 and want to go to get conversion therapy, that's their choice. They're now the age of majority, and they can make a semi informed decision. But a child should never be forced to undergo something that will put their mental health at risk because of your religious belief, and that has nothing to do with the homosexual agenda. I'm of the belief that the homosexual agenda isn't the boogeyman that the conservatives think it is, especially once I looked at all of their arguments, and none of them have any traction legally or just outside of their preconceived notions of what is right and wrong. I would also like to note that on Conservapedia, they don't believe homophobia exists. Go look it up. Put in Conservapedia, probably spelled exactly as you're thinking, homophobia. They say, if it actually existed, sorry to burst your bubble, but homophobia exists. Your fear of the homosexual agenda is proof of an irrational, unfounded fear of something that you don't understand. Keeping in mind that I actually don't hear this term used by people outside of radical politicians and old conservative men, white men, then I'm only gonna give this like a 2 on the apocalypse rating meter, because I mean, I'm not scared of it. It's not some, I mean, sorry, but the old white man generation's dying out. You're actually becoming the minority. And while you currently have the political and monetary power, it's not going to stay that way for much longer if you don't watch out. So have a nice day. I have stolen this heterosexual child, and I'm converting her to my homosexual agenda of rainbows and cupcakes and sparkles.